There's a term used in psychology known as exposure therapy. And what it is progressively exposing yourself to the things, situations, and activities that you're afraid of in order to become less afraid of them. Now, even though this seems like a simple and obvious thing, it's something that a lot of us don't implement and take advantage of, and it's something that so many of us could greatly benefit from. Now, here's the thing. In order for you to get good at something, or in order for you to become experienced at something, you need to be willing to suck at it first. That's the kicker that holds so many of us back from doing what we want, or achieving what we want, or starting that thing that we want to start, is we're caught in what's called analysis paralysis. We say, I'm not good enough, I don't have enough experience, I'm not cut out for this, I don't have enough stuff, I haven't studied enough, I haven't researched enough, I don't have it all together yet in order to take that first step. And we feel that we're not confident. And we think that confidence is something that's going to be born by sitting there ruminating about how we're not ready yet, and we need to wait another day, another week, another month, another year, and then we'll make that first step. But confidence isn't something that's granted to you that thus allows you to take that first step. Confidence is something that is a reward from you taking that first step when you don't feel ready, and realizing that you're not as bad as you thought you were. Confidence is a result. It's not a prerequisite. Confidence is something you are given. It's something that is born through you showing up even though you think you're not ready, and realizing you are cut out after all. And that's exactly what exposure therapy is, and that's exactly what I want to talk about in this video. Even though this exposure therapy thing seems obvious, like, yeah, obviously you've got to go out and do the things in order to get good at them, a lot of us don't operate like that, myself included at times. The things that I want to do, but I'm afraid to do, I hold off and I don't do them because I'm afraid to do them. And then you just lock yourself in a prison because you want it, but you're not willing to do it because you're afraid of it. But in order to get rid of the fear of doing it, you need to do it anyway. You need to power through the fear. A lot of us want to show up like professionals on day one. We want to show up like a seasoned professional who's been around the block. This isn't their first rodeo. I know what I'm doing, having never done it before. And what it is really we're afraid of the world seeing us in that stage of our life where we're learning. We're not coming from the mindset of the student. We're coming from the mindset of somebody who wants to look like we have it all together. We want to go hide away in our room and study and learn and research and implement things and watch YouTube videos, and then show up to the world on day one perfect, having it all together. But that's not the way it works. There's a quote that says, embarrassment is the cost of entry. That's what I was talking about a moment ago. If you want to get good at something, you need to be willing to not be good at it first. And you need to be willing for that to be public and exposed. Now, here's the funny part is, like, when you look at somebody who's successful, whether it's a musician or a business person or somebody you look up to, somebody you would call successful, what we see is where they are now. We say, that's successful. What we often overlook is the years or decades even of all the trial and error, of all the inexperienced parts of them that showed up anyways. Like, if you go back into my YouTube videos, my early YouTube videos, I was so awkward and I was so tense and tight and nervous and stumbling and all this kind of stuff. And even still, it can be hard at times to really get in the flow and make the video, but I show up anyway. I show up anyway because this is what I love. This is what I do. And in order to keep going, well, as simple as it sounds, I need to keep going. This is the case with so many of us. Let's say you're afraid of speaking in a group of people. When you're in a group of people, you kind of just blend into the wall, you kind of get silent and all this kind of stuff, and you're afraid to speak in a group of people, but you want to. You want to open up and be open because you know you're an amazing, fascinating, interesting person. You're just afraid to break that ice. So you go out to a get-together, a gathering of some sort, and you're hanging out with the group of people, and you're blending into the wall, and you say, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. And you chime in. You say something. You respond to what somebody was saying. You add a topic of your own. You spark up a new conversation. And all of a sudden, it's like just opening floodgates and you are just flowing. You go from blending into the wall to the life of the party like that. And all it took was you being willing to say something. You being willing to do the thing that you were afraid to do. Or let's say you're afraid to ask somebody out on a date because you're afraid of rejection. Fair enough. But you ask them out anyways and they say yes. All of a sudden, see, here's the funny part. Even if they say no, the act of going out of your comfort zone and asking anyways, it can create a whole new version of yourself. A whole new version of yourself can be discovered and cultivated by you going out of your comfort zone and doing the thing anyway. You see what I'm saying? You go out and you say, would you want to go on a date sometime? Or you're really fascinated. Would you want to hang out sometime? And all of a sudden, this new version of you is born. Because the version of you that you were busy being was the version of you that was limited behind that fear. But in respect to the exposure therapy thing, you go out and you do it anyway. I have so many examples of this in my own personal experience where years ago, like a few years ago, I traveled alone for the first time ever. And it was pretty scary. It was pretty scary, not gonna lie. I was nervous, I was scared, I was alone, I was out in completely vulnerable. I was completely vulnerable out in an environment I didn't know, surrounded by people I didn't know, and it was really scary. And I had a hard time while I was there, and slowly I kind of relaxed into it. But a few months ago, this past May, I traveled alone again, and I wasn't scared at all. I rocked that shit. It was awesome. And I have friends that are like, man, I wish I could travel alone, or I'd be so bored, or I'd be so scared if I traveled alone, but I wish I could. And the first thing that I think when they say that is, well, if you want to travel alone, if you wish you could travel alone, you need to go out and travel alone. You're not going to become experienced at the things you want to get good at until you start doing them. You're not, like, who's the last person you knew that was perfect at something before even starting? Who's the person that just dropped a banger song and blew up and never had practiced before? Who's the first person you know that was just an ace at public speaking? Who's the person you knew that on day one they just had it all together? And if that was the case, they had gone through so much trial and error in the past. They have experience in what they're doing. You just didn't see it. Now see, a lot of us are afraid to go out and do the thing we want because we're afraid of judgment. We're afraid of looking like failures. We're afraid of looking like a fool. This is what holds so many people back in content creation. And I recently ran a poll on my channel, and apparently a lot of you want to be content creators. A lot of you want to create content, you know? And in order to get good at content creation, you need to suck at it first, man. You need to suck at editing. You need to suck at talking to a camera. You need to suck at speaking fluently in order to actually begin to get good at it. But see, a lot of us don't even get that far. A lot of us never even go after that dream of being a content creator or whatever it is. This kind of is a blanket statement that applies to so many people because we're afraid of that judgment. Something that I do a lot to train myself in exposure therapy is on my personal Instagram account, which has everybody I've ever known on there. Everybody from school, my coworkers, my family, all of them. It has everybody on it. I'll post clips from my YouTube videos on my story. And a lot of the people I know in my life don't know about my YouTube channel. They don't know about what I do. And for that very reason, that's why I post clips of my YouTube videos on my channel for everybody to see. And the first time I did this, it was so nerve-wracking. I was so anxious about it. I was like, oh my God, everybody's gonna think I'm weird. They're gonna see me. Oh no, what are they gonna think? They're gonna make fun of me. They're all gonna talk about me. They're gonna think I'm this weird hippie guy, you know? Like, I was so afraid of what these people were gonna think. And also notice, I don't even talk to a lot of these people. Yet, I was completely enveloped in the fear of what they would think. Let that land. Like, we're afraid of the opinions and judgments of people we don't even really care about. Why are we giving so much power to them? You know, a lot of it is our interpretation of what they would think, not what they actually think. And so I posted the clip on my story, and lo and behold, nobody cared. Nobody said anything. And whatever they thought, that's their stuff. They didn't go, ha, look at Devin posting, you know? They didn't do the thing I was afraid of. A lot of people, as I've continued posting these clips, a lot of people like the post or comment and respond to it saying, thank you so much, this was so helpful. And I realized, look what happens when I do the thing I'm afraid to do. It helps people. It offers value to the world. And also, I mainly post those clips on my story for me, not necessarily for everybody else. I post it because I'm afraid to do so. And I get this almost like impulse of, you have to post it. Because what am I going to do? Just sit there and not do anything? Not post it because I'm afraid of what people I went to high school will think of me? No. I post it because I understand that fear barrier can only be broken by me showing up and doing it anyway. Another example that this is manifested in for my life is when I host online events or like group sessions with people that sign up and show up. A lot of the time, if you've ever attended one of my group sessions, me starting that call or me advertising that I'm doing this group online event, I didn't know what the hell it was even going to be about. And that's horrifying. And see, the sentiment behind this is exposure demands growth. Exposing myself and saying, I'm hosting a live event, it demands me to get my shit together and come up with the contents and the layout and the outline of the event. Because now people are showing up to an online event on a given date and they expect something. And see, I mentioned earlier analysis paralysis. This is huge when it comes to content creation or when it comes to going to the gym or starting your own business or even just posting something online that you want to share or getting good at writing or getting good at a sport or whatever it is. We get caught in analysis paralysis of, oh, but what if I mess up? What are they gonna think? What if I'm not good enough? What if I fail? What if I get hurt? What if I get rejected? What if I get judged? I'm not ready. I need to retreat back into myself and keep studying and working on myself and researching, and I don't have the right equipment and all this stuff. That's a huge one in like content creation is, oh my God, I need to have a full-on cinematic movie production set in order to just make my first YouTube video. That's bullshit. And yeah, you could have a good camera and a good light and beautiful sound systems and all this kind of stuff, and you could color grade and everything. But what is the video about? What are you gonna talk about? You have everything perfect. It's like showing up on a professional set on day one, having never rehearsed the script. Yeah, okay, you're on a professional set, but who are you? What do you have to offer? What are you gonna say? Have you even practiced talking to the camera? Have you even practiced the thing that you are afraid to do? Watching YouTube videos on self-help is one thing, but working with someone who can offer you practical and advanced feedback tailored to you personally is a whole other thing. The most progress I've ever made in a particular area in my life was when I had someone working with me personally on that particular thing. So if you resonate with these videos and you have something going on that you think I could help you with, click the link in the pinned comment below to book a completely free discovery call on a date and time of your choice. We'll talk, get to know each other, and we'll see if it would be in both our best interest to work together in my coaching program in the future. I promise you it'll be worth your time. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you there. Back to the asking the person out analogy. You want to act like all chipper and got it all together, but you've never asked somebody out before. And then, when you go to ask somebody out, you are just a bunch of nerves. I remember in the past, a hilarious story of this girl that I kind of like had feelings for, and I didn't even know her, and there was this like party we were all at, And I was like awkwardly like gravitating towards where she was to be closer to her, you know? Because I want to like, I'm like, oh, how am I going to talk to her? I need to like be near her if I want to talk to her. God forbid I start a conversation with her. You see what I'm saying? And so I'm just like kind of awkwardly floating around like a magnet around this girl. And then she announces that she's going to leave. She's going to leave. And so this is going to be so funny sharing this story. But she leaves. She goes out. She leaves and she goes to get in her car and go away. I say, oh my God. I had in my mind that I was going to ask this girl out at that gathering, at that party, okay? So when I hear that she leaves, I better get my ass a gear, right? So it was like crunch time. It was like now or never type feeling. So she leaves, and guess what I do? I follow her, and she goes out to her car, and she gets in her car, and her windows are up. I go out to her car, and I knock on her window. I tell her to put the window down, and she looks at me and she puts the window down, and I say,
would you want to hang out sometime?
And she says, lo and behold, no, sorry, I have a boyfriend. And I go, oh, okay, yeah, you're good. And she says, see ya, and I say bye, and she drives away. Now, that, to be completely honest, was horrifying for me. I sat in my car, like filled with adrenaline and nerves and embarrassment and the feeling of rejection. But you want to know what else? An incredible level of reward. Okay, I know now. She said no. I asked her. I was willing to show up and do what I was afraid to do. And like, as funny as this is, it's admirable to so many people because so many people aren't willing to do that. So many people aren't willing to look like a fool and be willing to start, be willing to initiate the conversation, be willing to ask them out, be willing to make that silly, dumb, horribly edited video that you probably will make on the beginning of your content creation journey. We need to be willing to start before we're ready. Like I was talking about earlier, confidence isn't something you're just gonna have. All right, now that I've watched enough YouTube videos and done enough research, now I'm confident. No. Confidence is a result, a consequence of me asking that girl out created confidence within me, even though she said no. Because I realized, I just asked somebody out. I had never done that before. I realized that. I had never asked somebody out. And I was so proud of myself. And it felt so good. And another area where confidence for me, the most confidence I had ever had as a result of doing something was saying no to a toxic partner. This happened close to a year ago, and it literally changed my entire life. When I said no to somebody that I wanted but I knew wasn't good for me, the level of confidence that was born from that was absolutely incredible. Now, confidence is something that you're not just gonna have it and have it in your back pocket so that on day one you can show up and be confident. No. Unfortunately, the way the universe works is you need to be willing to show up sloppy and not having it together and not really being the best at it. And as you continue putting reps in, literal reps, only then will you begin to become more confident. Now, it's interesting because you think you're not ready, but that's just a story you're telling yourself. It's just a narrative that you're feeding into that's keeping you from taking that first step. Now, the reason you have that narrative going is because your ego is trying to protect you. It's saying, don't make a fool of yourself. They're gonna judge you. You're gonna look like a failure. My mom has this joke that it goes all the way back to primal times where you're gonna die. If you speak publicly, you're gonna die. If you ask that person on a date, you're gonna die. If you post that selfie, you're gonna be kicked out of the tribe and you're gonna die. Now, obviously, it's not that extreme, but it ties into that primal fear. What's the big deal with asking somebody out on a date? Really, let's take a moment to really think about it here, okay? What's the big deal about speaking on a stage in front of a bunch of people. What's the big deal? Is it objectively bad and scary? Or is it what you're saying in your mind? What's the big deal about posting that selfie that you think doesn't really look that good? Why exactly are you taking 100 pictures of yourself to get that perfect shot? Analysis paralysis. What are they going to think? This isn't good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. They're going to say no. They're going to judge me. I don't have what it takes. I've realized time and time again in my life that I am way more capable than the version of myself I thought I was. If that makes sense. I am way more able than I perceive myself to be. Like right now, where I'm sitting is my home. And I live on my own. With me and my 4 cats. I'm taking care of myself. A few months ago, I lived with my grandfather, and I didn't pay any bills. I'm 24 years old. I lived with my grandfather. I'd never lived on my own. And if you were to ask the version of myself that lived with my grandfather, hey, would you be able to move out on your own and support yourself? I would have said, I want to, but I don't think I can. And then my grandfather passed away, and I was forced to go out and live on my own. I saw that coming, but I was kind of putting it off, because that's what we do with things we're scared of. Is we put them on the back burner and we act like they're not a big deal. So when the time came where I had to find my own home, I was like, well, I better evolve into a new version of me, because I'm not going to become homeless, and I don't feel like living with another family member. I want to be on my own. So what I did is I put out my little feelers, and I started looking around. I started asking around. I started finding places. And I found this place, which is an absolute blessing. I couldn't ask for anything better than where I am now. And I'm coming up on 4 months of being here. And I didn't think this was possible half a year ago. I didn't think it was possible for me to be on my own, for me to support myself. I didn't think it was possible to live alone. You see what I'm saying? I thought I'd be lonely. I thought I'd be scared. I thought I would break down. But we learn about a new version of ourselves when we're willing to step out of that comfort zone and do the thing we're afraid to do. You know? If you might not like hearing this, but if you're afraid of public speaking, how do you think you get good at it? If you're afraid to ask somebody out on a date, to ask anybody out on a date, how do you think you're gonna get good at it? Watching pickup line videos and dating advice on YouTube? That creates a pseudo feeling of accomplishment, even though nothing has ever been done. It's an artificial fulfillment where you think you're making progress by learning and researching and studying, but no tangible progress has actually even been made. You're still just sitting around afraid to do that thing. It's the idea of apparently there was a study that was done where a lot of people that buy gym equipment and exercising equipment don't even use it. And a lot of people that sign up to a course or buy an online course or buy a ticket for something to help them don't even show up. Now the reason that is because the act of buying the gym equipment or the act of signing up to the course it gives them the tiny little emotional payoff that they were looking for, and they feel like they've made progress. Thus, they don't follow through with it because they feel, well, I did it. You know? If you want to ask somebody out on a date, but you're so petrified about it, the feeling of just hanging out in a group of people in which they're included feels like enough to you. You're like, okay, I hung out with them a little bit. Maybe that'll make them want to ask me out. But you're never willing to do the thing you're afraid to do. But what if it's by doing it that you're actually going to begin to get good at it? You need to be willing to start before you're ready. Because if you ever want to raise the ceiling, raise the cap on your potential, You need to be willing to tear that shit off. You need to be willing that you're way more capable than you give yourself credit for. And the thing that you're scared of, what you're scared of is your own fear. You're scared of, what you're afraid of is your fear. You're not afraid of actually doing it. And when you do it, you'll realize that. And yeah, you might get rejected. You might look like a fool. You might stumble over your words. You might make horrible music. You might get judged for posting that video or posting that selfie or whatever it is. But you want to know what? At least you did it. And at least you took a step. Because when you take that first step, you create a defining difference between you and so many people. Because so many people have dreams and desires and things that they want to do, but they're not willing to do them simply because they're afraid that they're not good enough. This is why even if you see a post that it's cringy, like somebody's singing a cringy song, or they're really awkward, or they post a selfie that's not really attractive, you know what I'm saying? And then they're putting themselves out there, even though you don't like it or appreciate it, what you do appreciate is their courage, their bravery, their willingness to show up sloppy, messy, unedited, unprofessional, because we sense that that's how you get good. That's how you get good, is being willing to not be good at it first, but still carry on. Don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. If you want to get good at something, go out and do it, because you're not going to get good at it any other way. If you want to become good in a particular area of your life, you need to be willing to suck at it first. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, it's really simple. Leave a like on the video because it helps these videos go so far, and it helps the video get recommended to people like you who may really need to hear this kind of stuff. And if you like this kind of content, consider subscribing to the channel because I post stuff like this every single week. So with that said, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.